Today on Locked On Red Wings, an ugly but very important win for the Detroit Red Wings as goaltending stands out in the victory over the Ottawa Senators.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Scotty, the Red Wings won tonight, beating the Ottawa Senators 5-3. I would say it was a nice bounce-back win, but it was, anyone who watched the game would know that was ugly. And not just like ugly by Detroit standards, but like, I don't think Ottawa Senators are very happy with how that game transpired. We're very happy we got the 2 points. We're very happy that the Red Wings are back on top of the Atlantic Division, but there was a lot from that game that still needs to be cleaned up. But you take the win. You take the 2 points every single day.
Yeah, I think they said that this was the second regulation win against Ottawa in the last 12 or 13 meetings between these two teams. I don't really care how it looks or how aesthetically pleasing it is. I will just gladly take a win against Ottawa, really, no matter how it comes.
Sometimes that's all you got, man.
Especially on the road. I mean, that's
right. That's important.
Not for nothing either. It's a really big win. I think for me, if we want to go into biggest storylines right away.
Yeah, why not? That's how we do it.
I think it's goaltending on both sides. And I know that there was we talked about it yesterday. There was a lot of talk about Ottawa goaltending, and that clearly reared its ugly head for them. The Wings got outshot by dang near 20, but when it was all said and done, got off to a really slow start. In terms of being able to push the offense and get opportunities in the offensive zone. And it just didn't matter. The Wings had a big, 2-0, 3-0 lead there at the end of the first. So I think from that perspective, it's very obvious to see because it's a big talking point with the Sens and their organization and their fan base and whatnot. And it was proved right. But I think, if not just as much, to be quite frank, I'm not sure Gibson's – he faced so many shots. Maybe his percentage ended up being good. I'm sure you'll read off here in a second. But, I thought he was fantastic. I really do think that this was a vintage John Gibson performance. And, you're going to look at the final box score and you're going to see 3 goals against and maybe – it's not going to appear that way, looking back at it on a sheet of paper, however much time down the road. But I really thought that he kept them in the game, if not, no pun intended, saved the game for them. This is I can think of at least 3, probably more opportunities off the top of my head that I think 8 or 9 times out of 10 this season are goals against, and on the Sens side, and Gibson was absolutely fantastic. And that was goalie interference, by the way. I'm glad it was confirmed and not just stands. I'm not even sure why they challenged that.
I think they challenged it because they were down 2 goals, and
But
I guess on the off chance it gets overturned.
I know why they challenged it, but it was never going to be overturned, is what I should say.
Well, never say never when it comes to goalie interference.
For sure.
It's not like offsides.
But yeah, no, I guess that's kind of the end of my rambling here. I think goaltending on both sides for both teams was absolutely imperative. And I think if you're talking about the biggest difference made, I think pretty clearly on both teams, truly, it ended up being goaltending.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody who watched that hockey game who would disagree with you as that being the biggest storyline through the 60 minutes of that hockey game. There is another storyline that I think was just as impactful to the outcome of the hockey game, but it was a moment rather than like a whole storyline. It was more of a difference-making moment that rather than a whole 60-minute storyline. But I completely agree with you. Goaltending was the biggest thing in this hockey game. And to your credit, Scotty, the numbers do back up the eye test in this hockey game. John Gibson was just as good as he looked on the stat sheet. He had a 921 save percentage in this hockey game as he faced 38 shots against, only allowing 3.
It's a crazy number when you give up 3 goals to still be over a 920. Like, I think that's a testament to how many goals he faced, or shots he faced, yeah.
He had a goal saved above expected of 1.08, so he saved at least 1 goal more than he was expected to in this hockey game. And that would have made it 5-4, not 5-3, but you don't know, obviously, with the butterfly effect and all that, how that pans out if he allows that goal in. He made several huge saves in this hockey game, too. It's not like they were 38 routine saves. There were some huge saves. Gibson made a massive save on Dylan Cousins in the first period. Edvinsson turned the puck over behind the net, and the puck got fed to Giroux, who he made a huge save on. Then Giroux again, like a minute later, he got a piece of his glove on. In the second period, the Red Wings are on a power play, and somehow 3 Red Wings get sucked into the corner in the defensive zone, and a one-time in the high-danger slot to Stützle that Gibson makes the save on. He was top-notch all game. The only goal I did not like from John Gibson was the power play goal he gave up to Dylan Cousins. I thought that was a pretty bad rebound right to Cousins. But when you are facing 38 shots a game, I'm not complaining about. I won't complain if you give up 1 soft. And that's the thing about what Gibson's been doing lately. Like, we talked about the game against Pittsburgh where he let in 2 goals where it's like, yeah, you want your goalie to make that save, but they weren't like softies, and it was a huge blown defensive coverage in front of him, and he only allowed 2 all game. And that's what he's been doing at bare minimum lately, is he's been keeping you in the hockey games. And that's the bare minimum. And that's what you need out of him, is bare minimum, keep you in the hockey games. And in nights like tonight, or like Vancouver on the road trip where he had the 4-0 shutout, he goes above and beyond the Call of Duty asked of him in any given hockey game to keep the Red Wings in it. Like, by all accounts, this is a hockey game that the Red Wings probably didn't deserve to win. I mean, they faced 38 shots in the defensive zone. They were being turnstiled constantly. They were put in a blender time and time again, constantly hemmed in, because this team still struggles. And the second period was a lot better. I think the second period was the Red Wings' best effort in the hockey game. They actually outshot the Senators at 5-on-5, but the third period went right back to not starting on time, not winning the races to the puck, not winning those board battles. And then when you get the puck, failing to get the puck out or up the ice in transition, coming back in just in a defensive blender. And Gibson was their best player. The Senators had 6 power plays in this hockey game. Red Wings went 5 for 6. And the penalty kill as a whole is a lot better this season, and I want to give credit to those penalty killers. But Ken Daniels said it on his broadcast, and it's an old adage. Your best penalty killer has to be your goaltender. And John Gibson was, and he was your best player at 5-on-5. And like you said, on the flip side, the Ottawa Senators' goaltending was just as advertised in the worst possible way. This was something that a lot of the times when we preview hockey teams, we try to find trends as to what is working for them, what is not, and we tend to look at the full scope of the season. So sometimes when you look at the full scope of the season, it's not really necessarily true to like the last 10 to 15 games. But this has been the case for the Senators all season long. And the other thing is, even though that's the case all season long, you just never expect it to work out for you in that game. You never expect to see that happen in that given game. We talked about how bad their goaltending is. And their goaltending was that bad. I mean, I know that they had 2, pretty young goaltenders. Hunter Shepard, it was his NHL debut, I believe, in relief for Levi Merilainen. And Merilainen allowed 5 or 3 goals on 8 shots. I don't particularly think. I think those goals against him were similar, where it's like, I don't think they were soft goals. I don't think you're absurd to ask him to make those saves either, Scotty. I mean, you think of the first one, it was the Andrew Kopp breakaway, defensive turnover in the neutral zone, breakaway. Then the power play goal, there's nothing he can do about that one, nothing. The JVR one, even that one, he was out of position, but it was still deflected through his 5-hole. So their goaltending's bad, but the Red Wings did still take advantage of mistakes by Ottawa to score those goals. So their goaltending was really bad in this hockey game, but the Red Wings did also capitalize on their few opportunities they had throughout the game. And that's got to feel good for a team that's trying to build offensive confidence again. And it proved too big of a hole for Ottawa to come back out of, even though I thought they were the better team in this hockey game.
Yeah, certainly. And I think the Wings found their footing a little bit in the second period. And then I think, Ottawa was playing catch up and just went all in on the offense there in the third. So, I mean, they recovered after a pretty poor start. I say recovered; they were up 2-0. Like it was a weird game.
Right.
It was really strange. They did show a graphic too that the Wings are like the worst or bottom 3 first period team in all of hockey, and then one of the best second period teams in all of hockey, and then right in the middle of the pack of the third. So I found that interesting, but we can save that for like an off day or something. They got off to a slow start, but they still had a lead. And Ottawa had 2 goals called off in this game, one for offsides and one for goalie interference. So it was going to be Ottawa up 1-0. Then it was not. Then it was Wings 2-0. And it was just a really, really odd game. But, I think goaltending prevailed.
Well, and you mentioned really briefly here the fact that the Red Wings were one of the worst teams in the first period. And that 3-goal first was the first period that they've scored 3 goals in the first period since March of 2025. That's how long it's been since they've scored that many goals in one period. They showed that up on the broadcast as well. Scotty, let's head to a quick break. When we return, I want to go back to something I hinted at earlier in segment 1, and that was the impactful moment in this hockey game. So stay tuned for that in segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You're going to love how it can track all your subscriptions and lets you cancel them in the app with just a few taps. No more hunting down customer service numbers. The automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. You can see exactly where your money is going each month. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Scotty, I talked about and I hinted at the fact that obviously goaltending was the biggest storyline throughout the hockey game. But I think the one moment that did ultimately put this game away for the Detroit Red Wings, and although it didn't necessarily feel like it a few moments later when the Senators had a goal scored, called off, reviewed, upheld, called off, but it was Michael Rasmussen scoring a shorthanded goal. It was the Red Wings' first shorthanded goal of the season. Their first in 77 hockey games, I believe, was the number that they said. Yeah. That goal was so monumental for the Detroit Red Wings because the Senators, even though the Red Wings had led 3-0 and then again 4-2, at that point it was 4-3, and it almost nearly, at least in my opinion, I don't know how you felt, I felt it almost was inevitable that the Senators were going to tie that game up because they had all the momentum going their way. They had back-to-back power plays as well at one point, and then Michael Rasmussen on a defensive turnover at the offensive or the defensive blue line for the Red Wings goes down on a 2-on-1 with Dylan Larkin, and he did not pass the puck. And I cannot tell you how happy I was that the Red Wings did not try to force a pass through a defender on the 2-on-1, because they do that every time, and almost every time it seems to not work out. Michael Rasmussen just challenged the rookie goaltender with a shot, and he beats him clean. It's 5-3. And I thought, for me, while John Gibson and Ottawa Senators goaltending was the biggest storyline, that was the most pivotal moment to me of the game. There's lots of others you can argue. There's the moments later, like we both spoke about. The goal that was scored, then called off, then reviewed, and remained called off. That's a big moment too. But I feel like that shorthanded goal to make it 5-3 and extend that lead back to 2 goals with 10 minutes left, less than that, 7 minutes left in the game, was huge for the Red Wings.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's awesome that it was Rasmussen, just because you need depth scoring. He's had kind of a roller coaster of the last few seasons at this point. So that was awesome. But yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes without saying, if you're looking at one specific play that sets them apart, or I don't know, changed momentum the most, it probably is that one. I can't believe it's been that long. I mean, I can, because we watch every game, but like it shouldn't be that. That is a long period of time. And yeah, man, awesome. I guess in the same breath, if we're talking, like, that's obviously a really big single moment. You can give credit to Michael Rasmussen. We're talking about another player. I mean, how do we not mention the greatest hockey player of all time? Wow, you didn't find that amusing at all. That was just kind of a dead stare. JVR had a great game though, and aside from just the goal, the pass was the play of the game. No, I mean that is net front presence times a billion, and he continues to provide value in that regard, and kind of show that he doesn't need to play 20 minutes a night to be impactful, because he's so good at what he does in front of the net.
You have really got to narrow down your greatest players of all time list. When you said that, I was like, oh, he's going to talk about John Leonard.
Leonard, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, we can, but I don't think he necessarily had like a super impactful game, but that is something we need to bring up on the episode. But then you went James Van Riemsdyk. I was okay. Well, yeah, he had a really good game. That's that's a good call. I'm like, day to day, the greatest of all time in your head changes, and I can't keep up.
Yeah, it does. Yes,
you got to let me know before we record each day who the greatest of all time is. So when you bring them up, I know who you're going to talk about. James Van Riemsdyk, though, you're right, had a really good game. 3 points in this hockey game. It took until literally after the game was over for the box score to update on the Raymond goal, who we'll talk about in a moment, to get him his 3rd point. But obviously that the most impressive point he had was just, again, that hand-eye coordination and IQ on the power play in the net front to not just bang home a rebound or try to bang home a rebound, but to find Larkin backdoor, giving Larkin his 22nd goal of the season, giving the Red Wings a 2-0 lead at that point. It was such a great assist by
literally
JVR.
Looked like the game was in slow motion, like, for that period of time. Like he to have the confidence and the puck handling ability, and just like the
presence of mind,
right?
Yeah.
The presence to be able to, like, the puck is on your stick right in front of the net, and he doesn't just like flail his stick at the puck and try to make something happen. Like, truly kind of assesses everything and makes very clearly the right decision. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great play, and that's what's made him such a sustainable hockey player throughout his career, is those types of things age beautifully. You can be a crappy skater, you can play porous defense, you can be slow, but if you can play smart and you check hard, which he does, and you play well in front of the net, and you have good stick hand or hand-eye coordination, you're going to continue to score goals. And obviously, he's finding himself in the bottom 6 lineup, but he's been their biggest acquisition through free agency since probably David Perron and Shane Gostisbehere. Like, he's been just as effective in his role as they were in their roles. Well, if that makes sense.
I mean, does DeBrincat count?
DeBrincat was through trade, but yeah, DeBrincat's obviously number one on that list.
You just said
I'm talking about free agency.
So
you're right.
Clarifying. No, I was being a jerk. So
it's a good clarification. Free agent, because if you don't say it, somebody in the comments will. So it's a free agent acquisition.
Fair enough.
He's been fantastic for the Red Wings this season. We talk about the depth scoring's really picked up. It's basically JVR is the depth scoring. His secondary assist is because of his forecheck. Helped create that turnover that fed Lucas Raymond. He also had his own goal, which is just kind of, hey, throw the puck on net, hit a body, win in. You take those every day of the week. But speaking of that assist on Lucas Raymond, that was a huge goal for Lucas Raymond too, because just yesterday and several times throughout our weeks, and it's been picking up on national media, local media, more so, not really national media, but like on local broadcasts and stuff, is the lack of scoring and shooting from Lucas Raymond, in particular, the lack of 5-on-5 goals. And Lucas Raymond pulled one back and fired one home to, at the time, extend the lead to 4-2 for the Detroit Red Wings. It was a great shot, and it felt really good for us as fans, so I'm imagining it felt probably even better for Lucas Raymond himself. That was his first even-strength goal since November 29th, Scotty. Over a month.
Did we talk about the lines yet, even? I mean...
We haven't.
So, I mean, we talked yesterday about the practice lines. We were like, oh, they're not going to do it, though. Like, they're like, oh, they're just trying to, like, send a message and practice and make sure, you know, that it kind of a wake-up call, whatever. Nope, sure enough, goes out there and plays a lot on the third line. And there you go, scores a goal. I that's another one where I can't believe it's been that long hearing the date out loud, but like I can because we've watched him not score forever. So, I mean, good for him. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come. A guy that is just unbelievably talented. Even the shot, like you just look at the goal like that was absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And hopefully it's, like I said, kind of a momentum shifter and you can get him producing points at that great clip again that he was, you know, for the first couple of months of the season. Kind of just weird because like this happened last year too, maybe not to this extent, but you know, wasn't scoring goals early, but was still producing points. And then they had to like find a way to, you know, get him more in a goal scoring rhythm. And, you know, eventually he woke up in that regard a little bit, and hopefully that's what we're seeing here. Maybe Andrew Kopp too, dude. That was an absolute snipe. That was awesome. So maybe we're good. Maybe we just have Andrew Kopp now, you know?
I'm thinking, I immediately see you say you're good. I think of the Colin Cowherd. We're good.
We're good.
We're good. Scotty, you mentioned the line shuffling, and I do want to talk about that in segment 3. I want to get your thoughts on how that panned out for the Red Wings in this hockey game. So stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. Real quick, Scotty, but I know I just said that we were going to get to that, but you did also mention Andrew Kopp, and I just have one sentence on Andrew Kopp, 2 sentences on Andrew Kopp, maybe 3. We'll find out. One sentence. Here's the first. Here's the first sentence is what I'm saying. Here's the first sentence. Are you ready? I'm very happy for Andrew Kopp. He is playing very, very well. Second sentence. That might be the first time I've seen him score on a breakaway in his tenure with the Detroit Red Wings. I loved it. That's it.
Was I loved it the third?
It was comma, I loved it.
That's, wow. Yeah.
Is that
sure.
syntax? Is the syntax there good?
No. No, that's
have good syntax.
You're right though. I mean it was just the most Andrew. Well, the goal scoring wasn't really the most Andrew Kopp thing ever, but the way that the opportunity presented itself was because of his great defense. Like he applies pressure, gets a poke check, and then you know just creates a breakaway quite literally by himself. And then, goes far side, man. That was an absolute beauty. Like genuinely, that we were joking earlier in the year that all of his goals were just going to come via empty net. And that one certainly was not. That was a little bit of dirty dangles there. So good for him.
He keeps getting rewarded since he's been moved up on that second line, and he's finally turning into the Andrew Kopp that we all wanted when he got signed. And I mean, I've been a huge Andrew Kopp defender for a while. Like I always
the
had
best
faith.
Season of his Wings tenure.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously I think he
so.
set a career high, or the second most assists of his career his first season here, but only scored like 9 goals.
They said on the broadcast he passed his point total from last year tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Yeah. He was it was rough for him last year.
Yeah, well, he also missed
bit
the
of
last however much because of injury too.
Right. He did see like a resurgence under Todd McClellan up until his injury, though.
Sure.
And so it's nice to see that continue now that he's back reunited with Kopp and Kane, which brings me to the lines, which, as you already talked about, we were like, it's got to be a bluff, right? Like there's no way they actually go through with this come game time. But hey, what good is a bluff? Todd McClellan followed through on it. Your top line to start the game was Casper, Dylan Larkin, John Leonard, who was called up about an hour after we recorded on Sunday, Alex DeBrincat, Andrew Kopp, Patrick Kane, kept them together because they've been excellent, James Van Riemsdyk, JT Compher, and Lucas Raymond on the third line, Emmett Finney, Michael Rasmussen, Mason Appleton. Your defensive pairs remain the same. Your goaltending starter was obviously John Gibson. So obviously the focus here is those forward lines. To note, by the end of the first period, Leonard was down with the fourth line, Rasmussen and Appleton, and it was Finney up on the top line with Larkin and Casper. But overall, I want to get your thoughts in three phases here. One, the recall of John Leonard. Two, the benching, or I guess press boxing, healthy scratching of Nate Danielson. And third, just like, did you think that it made a difference in this hockey game? Like, did you think the lines change up contributed to this victory?
I don't really know if I feel strongly about the last question. I would honestly lean no. Like they got heavily outplayed and just went up against poor goaltending and had great goaltending themselves. So I don't think that we saw some new version of the Red Wings with these line shuffles that makes me really excited to throw this same line combo back out there. So I guess weirdly no, despite the win. But in terms of the individual, moves in a vacuum and kind of the thoughts on them, they could play Leonard 60 minutes a night. I wouldn't care. So that's fine.
He's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he's simply the greatest to ever do it. But I think that he is just a guy that I think will be serviceable kind of wherever they put him. I don't want him at, top line for all 82 games, but if they need to plug and play, I'm not going to have an issue with that every once in a blue moon. Obviously, you want Raymond back on the top, long term. So hopefully this kind of gets him going in that regard. We already kind of talked about that. The only thing that I think was actually kind of noteworthy was that Danielson was chosen to be the healthy. Like everything else was, okay, Raymond now being on the top line is obviously the biggest news there, but the ripple effect of that, the only other noteworthy thing was Danielson being chosen. I have no issue with it. I mean, we've talked about it for a few weeks. He hasn't really been producing a ton. I think he is taking strides, and I think that he is, he's not losing the Wings game. I'm not trying to make it sound like he's terrible out there or anything, but he hasn't been producing. Now, there's a handful of guys in the bottom six that just haven't been producing. So it's kind of musical chairs at some point, but I have no issue with the choice to do that, and I don't think it'll be every single night, or else they just send him down. So I have no issue with it, and I'm sure that, again, it'll kind of be ring around the rosy a little bit, and they'll just kind of pick more and more people to sit out depending on matchups and whatnot.
Yeah, your first point is one I agree with. You answered the third question first, in that the lines shuffling I don't think really played a huge role in the victory. They were, as you put it, as we put it, very heavily outplayed still in this hockey game. And, I mean, the Compher line with Raymond, it did score 2 goals. JVR and Raymond did contribute. But it's not as if they were dominating in their time on the ice. They got 2 good looks, and they buried on them. And that's important. That is good. But I wouldn't say that that's a line okay, I'm ready to go back to by next game. And when Finney got the look back on top line with Casper and Larkin, thought they had a couple shifts where they looked dangerous. But again, it's not like I was in love with it at any point. Raymond on the third line, I don't see that being long-term. I think that this was just, you had to, McClellan brought it up in either the post-game or the practice media availability. He kind of just needed to break them up so that they could get back to their own game. They've been playing together for so long, he wanted to just kind of give them an opportunity to play separated. And that he's very comfortable going right back to that pairing whenever he needs. But he just wanted to get them apart for a second because it just obviously had been stagnant for so long at 5-on-5. So I agree with you on the lines thing. John Leonard getting the look at the top line to start the game. John Leonard even being called up, period. I was very happy for. He played good in the 7 games prior to that. This is game number 8. If he hits 10, he will have to clear waivers again to get sent back down. So you know that's a situation they're monitoring. But I was very happy that he got called back up because when he was here, he was one of the players who was producing for the Red Wings, and they needed help producing. So why not reward him with line 1 to start, see what he could get. He also got power play time in this hockey game, so happy for Leonard. And with Danielson, again, lockstep with you. I just think it's, as you put, like he just wasn't doing enough on the ice. But I will say this. If it's a one-off healthy scratch, just to like help him mentally reset, that's fine. But if it becomes a semi-regular occurrence, just send him back down to Grand Rapids. But I'm very confident that they feel the same way. If it has to become a semi-regular occurrence that he is out of the lineup, they will just send him back down. So, but I just needed to get that out there. I'm okay with it once, but we can't make a habit out of it, or else what's the point of having him here?
Agreed.
Scotty, the only other thing from the game I want to talk about real briefly, because I know we're already over 30 minutes, the embellishments in this hockey game were absurd. And I'm talking both teams. I mean, there was 11 total penalties called in this game, 5 power plays for Detroit, 6 for the Ottawa Senators. First off, right at the start of the game, weak tripping call on Marco Kasper. He didn't trip him. He made body-to-body contact on the puck carrier, and Brady Tkachuk fell, and it was called a trip. Ridiculous.
The worst one of the game was the elbow.
Actually, I think the worst one of the game was Dylan Larkin's. Dylan Larkin pretty hard.
Yeah, I guess I should say biasly the worst one of the game was the elbow. Right. But yes, I think if we're being objective on both sides, right. then yes, I don't disagree with that, to be honest.
Claude Giroux tapping Dylan Larkin's hip.
Giroux was pissed, rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
And then Tim Stützle getting elbowed and then just absolutely falling over.
Yeah.
Absurd. But what's funny is all 3 players that drew a penalty by diving are all 3 players that dive. Like, frankly, I love Dylan Larkin, but he embellishes. But Brady Tkachuk, they talked about it. He's drawn the most penalties in the NHL. Why do you think that is? Because he starts stuff and then he flops as soon as retaliation happens. This instance, he just made contact with and he fell over. And then the Stützle one, he's a very well-known diver too. All 3 of those guys, embellishing just got out of hand, and the rest were buying it every time. And I was like, oh my God, can this game just get over with? It was so rough, man, so rough.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Listen, I'm going to take a power play. Like, when it happened, I tweeted out no comment. Like, no comment on that penalty, because I knew. On replay, I'm like, I knew. But I'm like, I'll take the power play, and if the Red Wings score, I'll be happy. But that was rough. Just as it was rough when it happened with Tkachuk and Stützle. Scotty, last thing I got, Team Sweden. I think it's the first time we've mentioned World Juniors on this podcast. The Red Wings have been playing so much. We haven't even had
we did at the beginning, I guess.
Yeah. We did. Team Sweden does win gold. Eddie Yenborg, Red Wings second round pick from this most recent draft, finishes the tournament with 3 goals, 5 assists, and 7 games played. He's looking fantastic. He's looking like an absolute steal for the Red Wings in the second round. Of course, very early in his development, but he played great with Sweden all tournament long. They get the gold, and I think it's their first gold since 2012, if I recall. I'd have to double check on that. But an absolute great moment for Team Sweden. And Eddie Yenborg, or Yenberg, as it's supposedly pronounced in Swedish, something along those lines. I'll never get it right. We both know that. I still struggle with Berggren.
It's no, I mean, obviously, like one of the more fun tournaments of the year, and I mean, we have off days coming up, so we can always go, a little bit more in depth if we so please. But yeah, I mean, a great tournament, a lot of great games. USA earlier in the tournament, kind of disappointing.
It wasn't their best lineup, though.
Yeah, no, that was going to be my follow up. Like the talent is very clearly there if they really wanted to. So, yeah, but tip of the cap. I mean, that's a really good team too. There's a lot of really great rosters that kind of went at it there at the end. So.
Yeah, they beat Czechia in the gold medal game. What a tournament for Czechia, making it to the gold medal game, beating Team Canada in OT in the semifinals.
It was an electric factory, by the way.
And you hate to see it against Canada. You hate to see that. So massive shout out to Team Czechia. You also had Team Canada did end up winning bronze in this tournament, beating Finland in the bronze medal game. So that gives Carter Bear the bronze medal. Scotty, do you have any final thoughts?
I don't think so, man. We ball.
We do ball. We'll be back
with
a
big
win. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. So your team every day.